Tips with Tony. Tips with Tony. All about nutrition from your favorite dietitian. Everything you need to digest in your mind. Tips with Tony. Tips with Tony. Making you healthier one bite at a time. With Tony. Woo!
Hello, and welcome to the Tips with Tony podcast. I'm Tony Marinucci, your registered dietitian, helping you get healthy one bite at a time. Are you on a budget, but also trying to eat healthy? Then this podcast you definitely do not want to miss. I'm going to go through 7 different things that you can do to help make that dollar stretch. So there's no excuse on eating healthy today. Number 1, you're going to start purchasing fruits and vegetables in season. Purchasing fruits and vegetables in season prolongs the duration of when they go bad. They're also going to taste more fresh, and they're usually cheaper to purchase. But don't be afraid of canned fruits and vegetables or frozen fruits and vegetables. The only thing you want to be mindful of with canned fruit is that there's no added sugar or heavy syrup. Make sure it's either in its natural juice, and you might drain the juice, or packed in water. Additionally, dried fruit tends to have a little bit more sugar, so just be mindful of the portion, but dried fruit definitely does count as well. As for frozen fruit, just make sure, once again, there's no added syrups. When it comes to canned vegetables and frozen vegetables, just take a look at the ingredients and make sure that the ingredients, say it's frozen broccoli, make sure the ingredients is just broccoli. If it's broccoli and then salt enzymes and creamy cheese and all these other words you can't explain and can't pronounce, then we know that it's been a little bit more on the process end. But if it's just broccoli and the ingredients are frozen broccoli and just broccoli, then we know it's good to go. Number 2, you want to make big batches of food like soups and stews and casseroles. That way, that food can really stretch and you can put a lot of different ingredients in there. And then you can put whatever you make, put it in the freezer for another day when you don't feel like cooking, or when the budget's really tight and you really don't have much to spend at the grocery store. On the weeks where you made a little bit more money, you can really make a lot more food and save it for another day, for a rainy day. Number 3, when you go to the grocery store and come home, I want you to prep your food almost immediately. When you have your food prepped and ready, you decrease the likelihood of going to those impulse buys, right? So number 1, don't go shopping hungry. Make sure you have a snack before you go shopping. But number 2, when you do go shopping and you come home, for example, if you buy a cantaloupe or a melon and you come home from the grocery store and you just put it on the counter and you never actually cut it, de-seed it, and then maybe put it in little plastic bags or Tupperware containers, you're less likely going to eat it. And then when it comes to grabbing some food to eat, you're probably going to take something, like a candy bar or a bag of chips, because all you have to do is open it. You don't have to prep anything. So make sure that the food is prepped. Have hard-boiled eggs cooked, peel them, put them in a plastic bag, and make sure that they're visual, like in the front of the refrigerator on the top shelf or eye level. That way you're not likely to kind of grab other stuff. So preparing your food ahead of time is really important. And as for snacks and for meals, when you have a balanced meal prepped and ready, you're less likely to then maybe order in food or buy something, like if you're in the grocery store and you went there hungry and taking something, maybe stopping by and getting a piece of pizza on your way home because you didn't have any food prepped and ready. And once again, when you purchase outside of the home, it's usually more expensive than when you cook at home. Tip number 4, you're going to check the sale items. Most grocery stores have a circular or even an online page where you can check what items are on sale, or maybe there's coupons involved. I want you to plan your dishes around the sale items, and to kind of make it a well-rounded meal or well-rounded dish, I want you to also, in addition to that, clear out your pantry. See what's in your pantry. A lot of times we go shopping and we buy food that we already need. And in addition, we tend to buy food that we already have, and we also then we end up going to the grocery store, coming home, we never bought anything that we actually need. So you are going to make your shopping list before you go shopping. Make that list based off of the meals that you're going to eat, based off of the sale items, based off of what you are lacking in your pantry since you went through it and you know what you have. And on that list, you are going to put what you need. You're not going to put what you want. Although frozen dinners and, sweetened beverages and cakes and cookies and pastries, they tend to be pretty cheap. They don't cost much. If you were to add that all together and accumulate that costs money. Food is money. And we don't want to be spending money on wasting. Technically, you're wasting money on food that you want, not that you actually need. For a healthy body to be healthy, we need fruits, vegetables, whole grains, lean protein, healthy fats. We do not need soda, candy, cakes, cookies, all of that stuff. Although a small amount of those items can fit, if you're on a budget, you don't need it. You just want it. So we have to kind of tighten it up a bit. And when you go to the grocery store, stick to that list. That's why it's really important not to go shopping hungry. So that way you're more likely to stick to the list. Okay, tip number 5. You're going to practice portion control. Particularly with animal-based protein, the meat, that tends to be the most expensive part of the dish. And Americans tend to be over-consuming the amount of animal protein that they need. Typically, and this might be different based off of your activity level and your gender and, your body composition, all of those things and whatever your goals are. But in general, your animal protein portion that you need is about the size of your palm and a deck of cards thick for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So, a small piece of chicken or small piece of fish and maybe like 2 hard-boiled eggs, 2 to 3 hard-boiled eggs. Those are considered the animal protein that you need for the whole day. And many Americans are over-consuming that. And when you look at the plate, you've heard in my other episode using the plate method. It's a very effective method. Looking down at your plate, most of your plate should be non-starchy vegetables and 1/4 protein and 1/4 starch. So if you're looking down at your plate and most of it is animal protein and those other aspects are lacking, that means that you're eating more money. I want you to start thinking as food as money. So when you throw food out, it's money. When you eat double portions, it's money. So practicing portion control when it comes to animal protein is important because it'll help you save money. But just in general, when you think about even if you buy fresh fruits and vegetables and you buy them out of season, they're a little bit more expensive. And even though they're healthy for you, if you're eating large quantities of it, you're going to go through it faster and need to go to the grocery store more and spend more money. But if you're practicing portion control and utilizing the plate method and keeping your snacks, to maybe about, a cup of fruit rather than 2 cups of fruit. Those are little strategies that you'll find that you can really make these dollars stretch. And not only are you healthy, but you're also now more likely to obtain a healthy weight, which is like a double health point to point out. All right, so number 6. You are going to decrease the frequency in which you purchase lunch or dinner outside of the home. When you go to a restaurant or even fast food is considered cheaper compared to like dining out at a restaurant, but it's still always going to be cheaper if you prepare your meals at home. So I want you to decrease the frequency at which you go out to eat. And I want you to think about something for a second. The reason why when you go to a restaurant, the salad that you buy is I live in New York City, so New York, you could have a $20 salad and it's really, really healthy for you. But if I were to make that same $20 salad at home in my kitchen, it would literally, if I broke down the serving of all the ingredients, it would literally cost me $3. And I've done this before. I've done the math. I've written it all down. It would cost me $3. So the only reason why they're purchasing more out in a restaurant is because they know it's trendy and you're likely, you want to stay on your plan, so you will spend a little bit more money, I will still encourage you to also spend a little bit more money when you do go out to eat. But if you're decreasing the frequency at which you're going out to eat, then it really should be a non-issue. I know some people struggle with cooking skills. They're not quite sure how to cook, what to prepare. I definitely understand that struggle, and it is a learning curve. But everything I've talked about before is practice makes perfect. Look up some YouTube videos, reach out to me, tipswithtony@gmail.com, and I can hopefully give you some pointers or even ideas of foods that take very minimal food preparation and are easy to prepare. Because another thing that I want to point out to you guys is, even if you're working part-time, I have a friend who did this study and she looked it up. She's also a registered dietitian, and she calculated if someone were to work part-time and every part-time, like 3 to 4 days a week, and they bought fast food, and even though it sounds super cheap, it's still cheaper to prepare your food at home, which I explained. But she calculated it, and someone who works part-time and buys lunch out every time that they work can save over $1,000 per year, which can literally pay for a vacation. So even though it doesn't seem like a lot in the moment, all of that money definitely adds up. All right. And lastly, number 7, I want you to rearrange your priorities. I want you to take a look at what you're spending your money on. There are certain things that we need to pay for: our rent, our gas, our heat, our electric, certain things that we need. So obviously those go at the top of the priority list. Second to that is our health, and food needs to come almost before anything, because what you eat over a long period of time affects your overall health. I need you to understand that if you rearrange your priorities a little bit, maybe you're spending money on like a monthly magazine subscription that you actually never read. Cancel that magazine. Find little ways to add more money into your budget, so that way you can invest in your health. Because if you invest in your health, you will 150% decrease the likelihood of getting chronic illnesses or diseases, having to spend money on medication or hospital bills later on. So it is so important that you invest in your health today. I hope this podcast was helpful, and I'm going to end with a challenge. I want you to now, when you are going out, I want you to listen to this podcast when you go to buy your little, maybe like a specialty drink at a coffee place that you don't really need, or you get an extra alcohol. I didn't even talk about alcohol. We don't need excessive amounts of alcohol. Instead of going out and, usually I have 2 or 3 glasses of wine at dinner, maybe stick to 1 glass. Take the money that you usually spend on things that you don't actually need, but things that you want. Instead of purchasing the foods that you want on a regular basis, I want you to take that money and I want you to put it aside. And at the end of the week, I want you to do it for a whole week. At the end of the week, I want you to count up that money and see how much you have. I want you to let me know. Send me an email, tipswithtony@gmail.com. And I'm going to challenge you to do that every single week for a month. And then you're going to see how much of that money you can now invest into healthier items. Once again, thank you so much for listening to the Tips with Tony podcast. I'm Tony Marinucci, your registered dietitian, helping you get healthy one bet at a time. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube. Have a healthy day.